Let's talk about the modern workplace. Many have predicted the end of office life, and while that may work for some, we believe it's not clear-cut. You need solutions that bridge the office with the home office. As social creatures, we're innately drawn to congregate, and for most of us, our work improves through effective collaboration. As office life returns, we all need to adjust, yet again, to a new way of working and collaborating, one that balances the benefits of being in the office with the flexibility of working from home. This hybrid approach is the new future of work. But what exactly does it mean to enable hybrid work? It's simple. You need easy-to-use collaboration technology available across the enterprise and even in homes. This technology needs to be reliable, easy to deploy, and it needs to get out of the way to enable better work. To get started on the new future of work, it's best to look at what we have learned over the last year. No one has studied the future of work more than our longtime partner, Microsoft. I recently sat down with the head of Microsoft Teams devices to talk about what we've learned and what we should look forward to. I'm here with Ilya Buchstein, General Manager of Microsoft Teams devices. So, Ilya, what is it that you all are doing to enable hybrid work?
Well, thanks, Brad. First of all, it's always a joy and a fun time for me to spend time with my friends at Crestron. And it's especially a privilege for me to be able to address this audience, which is just so key to delivering the Teams experience. We think of ourselves in Teams as building a platform. Our partners like Crestron and your partners make it real for all of our joint customers. So thank you for having me. To go to your question, what's top of mind? I think it's the same as many of us, both personally and professionally. Personally, we're living through this, what we could only hope is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This last year spent sort of dramatically changing our lives and how we work. And so I think many of us are maybe now cautiously optimistic that we're seeing the light at the end of the pandemic tunnel. I also think many of us, though, have some anxiety about what is that going to mean. And as someone who works on Teams, of course, what that means is I think a lot about what do we need to do to really enable this hybrid workplace to make it as productive, as delightful, and hopefully not at all exhausting as possible.
Yeah, indeed. So I was reading a report you all just recently published, the new Future of Work report, and there were some really interesting things in there that I wanted to talk to you about. One was that this notion of social presence, when you're speaking to somebody on video conferencing, just showing that you're actively engaged in the conversation is so important, particularly in one-on-one and small group meetings. And so for us, we kind of think about, well, that means we really need to take video conferencing to all the small spaces too. It can't be reserved for just those big exec boardrooms and whatnot.
100% agreed. In fact, one of the things we chat about a lot with customers is what is that sort of first day experience going to be like for people who choose to go back to the workplace? And imagine if everyone is now used to talking the way you and I are speaking, where we see each other, we hear each other, we all have sort of equal space. And now imagine one of us walks into a room with a Starfish phone, just the phone. What may have been acceptable pre-pandemic, I don't think will be acceptable. I actually think, in fact, not just I think, I've had CIOs tell me they are worried employees will turn around and go home. If they can't see each other, if they can't feel equal to the other people in the meeting. So there are several steps that I think customers are going to be thinking about very quickly at an accelerated pace. One is if you assume that the people in a meeting that are remote and in a room are equal, meaning the decision maker, if there is one, may be remote or may be in the room. The key collaborators may be remote, may be in the room, or may be split. Well, then you have to assume that the experience has to be equitable across those. And that means as a baseline, everyone has to be able to see and hear everyone else. So with pre-pandemic, only 10 to 15% of business meeting spaces being video enabled, I think a lot of customers are now saying, well, what can we do to get that to 40, 60, 100% very quickly?
Yeah, that's right.
Even here at Microsoft, we have about 15,000 business meeting rooms worldwide. Half of them are 4-person and below, kind of focus rooms. And our plan was to deploy Teams rooms to 7,500 rooms, half of rooms. That plan has now changed. It's now, how do we get it to 15,000, every single room? So I think that's very top of mind for a lot of customers. I will say, though, that I'm hearing that especially some of the more forward-looking customers are already thinking, is that going to be enough? When you can, let's assume you can see and hear everybody in every room, is that still going to deliver the right experience? So we're already having discussions of actually, how can we build on that with more advanced capabilities in Teams, with more advanced AI capabilities, to really make that hybrid experience be ideal?
Well, I think in addition to the rooms, right, the other thing that I took away from the report that I thought was really interesting was the utilization of a secondary device. So even in those, the individual workspaces, a desk, an individual office, having a dedicated Teams device was really a way to unlock so much productivity too.
Yeah, I think those two concepts go very hand in hand, of having a dedicated device and then being able to use advanced capabilities to deliver advanced user experiences. So, and that's true, I think, both in the room and on the remote side. In other words, certainly everyone is going to be better off with great AV peripherals and not just their laptop. I think we've already seen that. Nobody likes the up the chin camera shot that you get from a laptop lid. And so I think as people get used to being sometimes remote, our natural human desire to want to be our best selves leads to saying, well, how can I be seen better regardless of lighting condition? How can I be heard better regardless of dogs barking or lawnmower, in the background? But when you take that to the next step and say, how can I also stay productive regardless of how many hours of meetings I'm doing, and make sure that I can always join my meetings in the fastest way possible, you get to the benefits of having a dedicated device in addition to your primary work device. Putting it a different way, there's a reason why having a dedicated room system makes a lot of sense. Instead of trying to have everyone bring in their laptops and join meetings, you join the meeting quickly, you get the best audio and video, and people can still use their personal devices. Those same benefits happen in a home office. I will also add that what we're hearing from many customers is, as they look ahead, the shifting spending that they see in their commercial workspace may end up going, and I think will frankly end up going, towards a new set of benefits for both employees and IT, which is to say that the home office kit may become the new gourmet cafeteria. Customers are telling us that they're looking at how they can equip all of us to have a great home office environment. And that's a competitive differentiator for hiring, but it's also an IT benefit in terms of being able to manage those devices and gain insight from them. So I think there's a lot of potential benefits to companies now seeing the home office as an extension of the spaces that they equip for Teams meetings in our case.
Well, I think that could also be one of those ways that it's really important to make it so that all of the participants in a meeting, including the remote participants, are all kind of on the equal footing, right? If everybody in the meeting room has really great equipment, but then everybody at home is just stuck on their laptop, that could create some of that separation. So originally I thought, well, I would never want another desk phone on my desk. Teams is doing it for me. But now, after using Teams so pervasively for the last year, I yearn for a dedicated device so I can be productive. And so it is an interesting kind of evolution where some people say, oh no, do it all on your laptop. No, these devices that are designed precisely for that can deliver such a great experience.
Well, I'll also say that with dedicated devices, there's more of an opportunity to use intelligent audio and intelligent video, AI-driven, hardware-driven experiences to provide these more equitable experiences. So for an example, I think pre-pandemic, if we were gathered together in one space and there were some remote participants, pretty clearly the meeting's optimized towards those of us in the room. I think most people would agree. Now, when the decision maker may be remote, or most people may be remote, one could argue that it's actually negative to be in the room. Everybody remote gets their own square of video. We're together in a room. Maybe we're hard to be seen. And so we're very focused on saying, can we use AI to make sure that even when you're together in a room with multiple people, everyone who's remote knows who's in the room. We can identify people, knows who said what, and we can use advanced video intelligence to kind of give everyone their own square video, if you will, or video space. So we're very much thinking about the end-to-end experience. That's part one. The other thing I'll mention that's been interesting to see is that meetings are no longer just an instance in time. So if you're like me, I've got typically for any given hour, 2 or 3 meetings I'm supposed to attend, and I can't clone myself yet. So there's a very natural human, you may have heard the term FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Yeah. There are meetings I probably shouldn't be in that I may be in just to make sure I hear if my name's called out. Meanwhile, there's other meetings I can't be in and I'm not sure what happened. So we're seeing much more of a focus on kind of the what happened to set up the meeting, what happened during the meeting, and then what's going to happen as next steps. In other words, having the agenda, the work items, the PowerPoint slides, the discussion in Teams ahead of a meeting, having a meeting that is then transcribed so that we can recognize when my name is said. And in many cases, I actually could be more productive watching the recording and reading the transcript afterwards than being there physically. And then after the fact, having extraction of action items and that ongoing collaboration. We see that life cycle as being also very important towards enabling this hybrid workplace so that people don't feel the need to have to be all in one place physically, or don't even feel the need to be in a particular meeting in real time.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. That is frankly, one of the features I really love about Teams is that continuity of the conversation that happens in chat related to the meeting, in a very specific way. We were doing this the other day. I was on a call on my Mercury Mini on my desk, but I was using my laptop to chat with the other meeting participants. And it was so brilliant how, for me as a user, it was really seamless. But, as a colleague and collaborating with others, it was really a productive way to get work done.
We've seen that. We've seen a huge uptick in chat being a secondary ongoing medium during the meeting and then after. I think it's incredibly interesting to see how we can get more questions answered even while some discussion is taking place in chat, and then keep that going after the meeting. And frankly, for reoccurring meetings, that chat is so useful the next instance. So you pick up where you left off and you're not repeating things. So yeah, it's a fascinating experiment we're living through, but we really feel like in Teams, we can help with that digital transformation and help make it not just a new reality, but a good new reality.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing really great work, and we thank you for your partnership. It's so great to have such a close relationship and be working on these problems together. So thank you for your time, Ilya. and we'll talk to you again.
Thank you so much, Brad. I appreciate it.